In a game where every tiny bit of improvement is very, very hard to come by, in a game where everything is about long-term practice, long-term habits, and long-term application, what if I was to tell you that there's actually one very easy thing that you can do within a few weeks, really, that could really improve your game if you're not doing this already? So what is it? Let's jump in. Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. So what am I talking about? What's that one thing? Well, it's scoring. Yes, scoring. So I've started playing darts in my local league, and I've been seeing a lot more people playing darts in person over like the last 6 months. And one thing that I think comes up quite a lot, whether it's like newer players or some intermediate players, is scoring and people not knowing their checkouts. It happens a lot, and I want to talk about it today because I think it is genuinely an easy win for you if you're trying to improve your game and you're not really on top of your checkouts already. So why is it so important? Why is it such a big deal? Well, I think probably the most important thing is that it really breaks up your rhythm and it takes you out of your flow. It takes you out of just throwing the dart. Your mental capacity is consumed by thinking, I'm on 69, for example, how am I going to check out? And for a lot of people, especially like in a competitive environment, they're not going to choose the best option. I think a lot of people probably aren't going to make the best decision on the spot. Like I said in the beginning, in a game where so much improvement is really hard to come by, this is one that's easy to grab hold of and it's easy to manage. And for such a low investment, you can just completely compartmentalize that thinking aspect of the game about what I need to check out with. So let's just say, for example, you end up on that 69, rather than thinking, oh God, am I gonna get a 19? Am I gonna get a 20? Am I gonna get a, you know, whatever. You can just be like, treble 15, double 12, bang, you know. And it's not even maths. I think that's something that a lot of people probably are a little bit intimidated by when it comes to scoring, if you're not doing your scoring already, is the maths. I'm not good at maths, I'm not good with my numbers, I'm not good at my marking, I can't do the checkouts. Well, you can. It's not the same as maths. It's really just pattern recognition. It's really just following pathways. When you land on a certain number, you're not necessarily crunching the numbers in your head and thinking, oh, if I do this times this by 3 and then I sort of remain in 24, I can check out 69. No, really, it's just like 69, I know that checkout. And how do you remember them? How do you learn them? I'm going to get into that in a little bit, but I think it's just so important to have it nailed down because it's all just about giving yourself every edge. And one edge may be removing that hesitation, removing that thought process, removing that distraction and loss of rhythm. And as somebody who has really kind of improved this myself over the last 6 months, it's really made a huge difference when it comes to playing games, because rather than being on a number and thinking, oh God, what do I check out with? You kind of just are automatic and you switch and everything's so much quicker and easier and your throw feels so much better because you know what you're going for. If you end up on 74, for example, and you're kind of thinking, oh God, and you're hesitating for a second, that's going to be so much more detrimental to your game than just going, okay, bang, treble 14, bang, double 16, 32. Like, I think it just goes such a long way, and I think not enough people appreciate that. If you're stopping and if you're kind of really hesitating, you're just consuming brain power that you need for your throw. And yes, I know some people will stop for a minute and then they'll make a great throw, and that will happen sometimes. But on average, you're stacking odds against yourself when you don't need to. And I think that's just really the most important thing before we jump into a little bit more detail in this, is that this is such an easy win. It doesn't really take any investment compared to every other ounce of improvement that we squeeze out in this game. Learning your scores is just such an easy automatic process in comparison to trying to hit more treble 20s. That's just such a tougher, harder to attain goal. Why not take the low hanging fruit that will genuinely make a difference at the end of the day? And it might only be 5 or 10%. It might not be, you know, a huge difference, but 5 or 10% is just enormous, so take it. And the best thing about this as well is that by learning your checkouts and learning your scores, you're making a huge difference, but you don't actually need to be perfect. You don't need to know 100% of checkouts. You don't need to be this machine that knows everything. You can achieve most of the gains from this with just 70 or 80% of your checkouts. Let me kind of just give you a little example. I made a video a few months ago, or whenever it was, a month or two ago, and I was talking a little bit about this, I touched upon it. And then later in the video, I had a bit of gameplay footage where I was throwing it like, you know, I was trying to check out 120 or something, I can't remember what it was. And somebody made a very good point in the comments that I should have gone a different route for my checkout because I had 2 darts remaining, and if I'd gone a different route, I would have had a shot at bull or something like that. But I didn't take it because I was just in automatic mode. And I was recording the video, I was talking, I was a little bit distracted. Not really an excuse, I was kind of just, you know, I should have been dialed in on that. But the point I'm making is that I'm not 100%. I'm not the master of scores and checkouts. I think by this point I know most of them, but certain ones slip through the cracks from time to time, especially like over 100. There might be more optimal ways to check something out. But within a couple of weeks of learning checkouts, let's just say from 61 to 100, you've got 70 or 80% of your results. And that was what I had when I spent a couple of weeks learning this. And that 70 or 80% is huge, and it's just so easy. Like I say, so I think I wanted to mention that because I want to lower the bar a little bit. I don't want you to be thinking, oh, I've got to know every single checkout from 1 to, you know, what is it, 170? Like, just going up to 100 will probably yield a lot of results for you, and that's just massive. So how do we practice this? How do we get better at our checkouts? I understand it's great to be good at checkouts, it's good to know checkouts, or at least the majority of them, most of them, which are the lowest hanging fruit. And like I say, for me, I know I'm very confident on anything from 61 to probably 120. After 120, I know how to get down, but I don't know the maybe optimal routes at all times. Let's just imagine 1, 2, 3, for example. I know that if I hit treble 20, I'm then on 63, and then I know my checkout from there. But there is probably more optimal checkouts above 120 that I'm not really too masterful on, let's just say. So how do we actually practice this? How do we actually do it? Well, there's a lot of ways to do it, and I'll just give you a few ideas before I show you my way. I listened to Wayne Marder once, and he was saying he used to sit in his living room putting darts in his board on his lap when he was watching TV. That's one way of doing it. You can just look at the numbers and memorize them. You can use note cards, you can write them down, you can like practice them, you can be thinking about it throughout the day. There's lots of like random ways to practice your checkouts if you want to. For me, I like using, oh God, an app. I'll put this on the screen now and we'll go through a few together. I just want to make it clear, I'm not sponsored by anybody, I'm not affiliated with anyone, I just like this app. So I'm going to show you what I do. I'll do this in a coffee shop, I'll do this if I'm on a train or something, I'll do this when I'm bored one day and I've got 5 minutes to kill. I don't really do it as much anymore because I've kind of nailed these. And I think really if you're just getting started and you don't know your checkouts, I would encourage you to go from 61 to 100 because I think you're going to get your most bang for your buck at that level. And they are the most important to know, I would say. If you're above 120, you know that you can hit treble 20 and you can be down in this range somewhere. There are more optimal checkouts above 120, but for me, I would encourage just starting with this. And once you know 61 to 100, really, you've got a very good foundation for your checkouts. And I think just from experience as well, I think some of the most egregious times where I've seen people kind of get stuck on these in pub games or whatever, it's below 100 and they get out of the rhythm at a crucial time in the leg. So let's jump in. Like I say, I'll put this on the screen around now, but so we've got 69, treble 15, double 12, I know that. I'm using my pen, by the way. It's quite good for these little small zones of the board on this app. Treble 20, double 8, boom. And as you can see, it's really, let's give me the same one again. Oh no, I wasn't paying attention there. It's harder than you think to talk and also do this as well. Treble 16, double 8. Treble 14, double 16. God, I don't like these pop-ups that keep coming up. Treble 15, double 10. So as you can see, it's a very fast and easy way of practicing these, and it's basically autopilot. And you get to a stage where you just know them all at a glance. And I think that's the most important thing, because if you're in a game, you want everything to be as automated as you possibly can get it. I don't like all these pop-ups that have appeared in the app all of a sudden, I must say. Now, there are different ways to check out some of these. Oh God, some of these checkouts. I'm going with the ones, nope, that's not right. I wasn't paying attention. Now I'm going to do a wrong one here. I know I would, if I was doing this, I would go single ball double 18, but I'm going to show you what it looks like if you get it wrong. So treble 12, double 20, let's just say that's wrong. So that's what it looks like when it's wrong. Treble 19, double 8. And unless, if I'm not distracted, I will get all of these from 61 to 100 quite comfortably. Like I say, it's harder than it looks to... Nope, that's not right. Yep. And this is the stage you want to get to, where you're just automatic. You don't even need to... And just doing this alone will yield you so much result, bang for your buck, I would say, as opposed to pretty much any other activity in darts. So you should look at this as an exciting thing. Oh God. You should look at this as an exciting thing. I wasn't paying attention. If you're not doing this already, this should be exciting, low-hanging fruit that you can take that will improve your game considerably quite quickly. Well, not considerably, but it will improve your game quite quickly, I would say. Sometimes I freeze a tiny bit. My brain is not as active as it used to be. But if you imagine this in a game scenario, you don't need to be instant razor sharp, super fast. You just need a second, at the odd second, to compose yourself and hit the dart. The main thing is you're not stopping, you're not asking the referee, you're not stopping for like a few seconds, and you can feel everybody in the pub like staring at you when you're trying to figure out what your double is, or your out is, I should say. Yeah, so I think at this point now you get the idea, but it's actually quite an addictive game because I've played this quite a lot, and once you start tapping, it's very hard to just stop tapping. Once you start tapping, it's very hard to stop tapping. Are these all the absolute optimal finishes? I think so, and to be fair, the app as well is quite good. You can see here, it gives you like, it doesn't do it here, but it does give you alternative like routes, and it does give you reasoning. Like you can see here, like, you know, leave 70 on a single hit, that kind of thing. So this app is excellent. I will put the name of it. I believe it's called Darts Atlas, but I will put the name on the screen when I do this as well. So yeah, like I said, guys, fantastic low-hanging fruit that if you're not doing this already, it should be an exciting thing. I can gain efficiency. I can stop thinking in the pub when everyone's watching me. I can make everything easier for myself, and it takes little effort. I think a couple of weeks of playing on that app and you'll know every checkout from 61 to 100. And if you know every checkout from 61 to 100, then everything else is easier after that. Because yes, there may be an optimal checkout at like 126 or whatever it may be, but as long as you have that bedrock, the others, there's always a route down. And I think that's just the last thing to kind of stress before we close the video is it's not about perfection. Because yes, there's going to be more perfect ways to do things. There's going to be more optimal ways to do things. But this video is not necessarily about being perfect. It's not about being perfect. It's about making your life easier. And if you know a very good checkout, but it's not the optimal checkout, but it's easier for you and it's very fast in a game and you can just do it without thinking, then that's a victory for me. That's a victory in my books, and it's something that you may not have had before. And yes, there may be an optimal improvement, but that's for down the road a little bit probably. So yeah, that's all I've got for this video. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you appreciate it. I hope it helps. Let me know if it does. If you're not scoring already, let me know down below. Have you ever frozen up in a pub and found everybody staring at you and you have that moment where your mind goes blank and you're like, oh, I can do maths, but on the spot like this, ooh, you know, it can be tricky. And you kind of just end up throwing at 20 or 19. That's generally the way it tends to go. I know because I was once there. I'm not anymore. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Like I said, let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear it. And also maybe even a cheeky little subscribe would be massively helpful too. So thank you once again. Have a fantastic day, and I will catch you for the next one.